thank the Almighty God for giving us good health so that I can bring to you this voice of hope. This is New Life program coming to you from Adventist World Radio, and I'm your host, Chileno Diam. Thank you for staying tuned. In the Family Life segment today, Susan Apondi will be sharing with us on how we should be able to have a balanced living with our mates. Later on, just after the Family Life segment, we'll be having Pastor Kigundu with a topic known as the age of sex during the Bible segment. Stay put to the Voice of Hope.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me be falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
This is the Voice of Hope coming to you from Adventist World Radio. When one is staying with his or her spouse, they should be able to have a balanced living with each other. Susan Apondi is here to tell us more about that.
A curious 4-year-old pressed his nose tightly to the glass display in the display case in a candy store. His mother was in a rush and spoke impatiently to him. "Danny, hurry up and make up your mind. Spend your money and get it over with." "But Mama," he replied, "I have only 1 penny to spend." For more on this, join me, your presenter, Susan Apondi, from Adventist World Radio, the Voice of Hope. Danny had only 1 penny to spend, just as you and I have only one life to live. And we should consider fully how we intend to spend it. Most people feel that they have the right to live just as they please. But God didn't design life that way. All life is regulated by a set of rules built in by the master designer. When Adam and Eve came from the hand of our Creator, they were perfect, physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually in harmony with the laws of God. But sin disrupted this harmony, and our physical body have suffered the penalty, disease, and death. Our mental faculties have also suffered, for our minds have become filled with evil. Our social relationships have deteriorated until divorce, crime, and hate seem to rule. Adam and Eve's natural desire to serve the Creator is gone. Self-serving supplant God-saving. And though our spiritual nature has changed as well, but there is a common sense route back to a better, happier, fuller, more abundant life. And it's available right now. If you'll fully use your physical, mental, social, and spiritual capabilities, since we have a 4-part being: body, emotions, mind, and spirit. The only way to approach a satisfying marriage is to develop oneself to the utmost potential in each of these areas. An ancient parable illustrates the point of how important each part is to the whole being. About 500 years before Christ's time, the people of Rome rioted against the governing nobility. They cried, "You great men have the titles, all we have is the toiling. You noble have all the honors and wealth and security, but we common people suffer the consequences. We are paying the bill by our blood, sweat, and tears. We are sick and tired of being slaves to Rome's rulers." So crowding the street, the mob moved toward a strategic part of the city, bringing the capital to such a state that the senator and great men of Rome fled for their lives. However, a famous hero of the people, General Menenius Agrippa, was sent among the crowd to quiet them, and he captured the attention of the rioters with a parable that Livy, the Roman historian, preserved for us. The various parts of the body planned a conspiracy against the stomach. They agreed that the hands would not place any food in the mouth. The mouth would not take any food offered to eat, and the teeth would refuse to chew any food that went into the mouth. Thus they plotted their revenge against the stomach, which they planned to serve, but they soon discovered that their plot was destroying the whole body. So they found that the stomach was, after all, working in a very important way. It actually was nourishing them in return for the food to the blood produced. The people caught the meaning of the parable and realized how necessary each was to peace of the entire nation. Likewise, the body, emotions, mind, and spirit are inseparable, bound together. Whenever a breakdown occurs in one area, it affects the others. When you smash your finger in the cardo, what effect does it have on your mental state? You received a phone call at 2 a.m. saying that a close relative has suffered a severe heart attack and has been taken to the hospital. How does your body react? When you knowingly lie to your best friend to cover up something you are ashamed of, and then lose your temper in defending yourself, how do you relate to God? How does your body react to this? An important relationship exists between mental health and physical well-being. The brain, though it's the most important organ of the body, is only one of many. But when other organs are injured or become diseased, the brain suffers too. Likewise, when one's mental health is good, the other organs of the body benefit. Problems with people cause us to suffer mental anguish, which consequently affects our physical and spiritual fitness as well. Individuals suffering under severe marital problems just before a breakup might find that they are irritable, cross and irritational. They might suffer from a loss of appetite, overreacting, overeating, insomnia, tiredness, or a total lack of vitality. It becomes difficult for them to put their mind to a task and complete even the simplest responsibilities throughout the day. At last they visit their physician to cope with their stress. The original breakdown occurred on the social dimension. It also affected the physical health and mental stability. But balanced living is more than just feeling physically well. Even when mental alertness is added, the picture remains unbalanced. And when we add social fitness to physical and mental well-being, there still isn't balance. Only when we add spiritual commitment do we have all components that are essential to a harmonious development of balanced living. Spirituality constitutes a vital component of balanced living, but we often leave it out of our lives. Love to God and to our fellow men, a clear conscience and a service to others complements the picture. Vitalizing all life's activities, this is the formula for balanced living. When life has death, it will have as a consequence greater breadth and greater length. Your life, the one that you are living now, is the only one you will ever have. Are you happy with the way you're living it? If you're not using it well, you cannot turn it in for a new one later. Are you making the most of this one life that is yours to live? Balanced living doesn't come by chance or by wishing for it or by having a magic wand. It comes as a result of a planned life that progresses in a harmony with the development of the physical, mental, social, and spiritual whole. Listener, by this we come to the end of our program today. I am your presenter, Susan Apondi.
Thank you for staying put to Adventist World Radio, the voice of hope. I am your presenter, Tileno Diambo. We would like to hear your views, comments, and suggestions concerning this program. Do so by writing to the producer, Adventist World Radio, P.O. Box 42276, code 00100, Nairobi, Kenya. Our email address is awrnairobi@eau.adventist.org.
Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing my great Redeemer's praise, the glories of my God and King, the glories of my God and King, the triumphs of His grace, the triumphs of His praise. Jesus, the name that charms our fears, that bids our sorrows cease. 'Tis music in the sinner's ears, 'tis life and health and peace, 'tis life and health and my gracious Master and my God, assist me to proclaim, to spread through all the earth abroad, to spread through all the earth abroad the honors of his name, the honors of his name. Oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing my great Redeemer's praise.
This is today's New Life program coming to you from Adventist World Radio, the Voice of Hope, with me, Chileno Diambo. Let us now give way to Pastor Kigundu to share with us on a topic known as the age of sex.
Jesus characterized the days of Noah not only as an age of appetite, but also as an age of sex. They were marrying and being given in marriage. It's found in Luke 17, verse 27. To marry and be married are perfectly moral acts, for the marriage institution was instituted by God Himself. The problem in the days of Noah and Lot was the abuse of marriage. The Greek terminology used means they were marrying, which suggests repeated marriages by the same person. In likening the days of the Son of Man with the days of Noah, Jesus seems to predict an age when the perversion of sex will be rife. The Bible gives the following description of the days of Noah in Genesis 6, verse 1-2. When men began to increase in number on earth, and daughters were born to men, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. This passage suggests that there was indiscriminate marrying of several wives merely to satisfy lustful desires. The sexual perversion must have been so revolting that the Lord decided to destroy mankind by a worldwide flood. The people during the days of Lot were even more twisted in their sexual appetites, because the Bible records that when the angels came to Sodom, the men of Sodom, both young and old, shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so that we can have sex with them." That is recorded in Genesis 19, verse 5. Jude is quick to remind us that God's punishment upon Sodom and Gomorrah was because they acted immorally and indulged in unnatural lust. That is recorded in Jude 7. Jesus pointed to the sexual sins and moral depravity of the days of Noah and Lot to characterize the age preceding his return. Our generation is witnessing the fulfillment of this Advent sign in an unprecedented way. The sexual revolution that has occurred during our times has no equal in history. Today, sex is idolized and has become the god of many. Sex is marketed through films, television, pop songs, pornographic magazines, and advertisements. The sexual appeal has become a major marketing gimmick that influences the production and sale of goods, whether they are cars or clothes. To be told that one looks sexy has become one of the best compliments that sound like soothing music to the ear. For the first time in history, sexual organs and intercourse are displayed for public enjoyment in pornographic magazines and books sold in public newsstands. To increase sales of the Sun newspaper in Britain, for example, a full-blown color photograph of a topless woman was placed on page 3 of the newspaper, just to show how far some magazines will go in portraying sexual experimentation. Is the March 1976 issue of Hustler, which portrayed the film star Linda Lovelace having sexual relations with a dog. Sex shows and anticipation of exotic sexual escapades is today among the major tourist attractions in the major cities of the world. Sexual services are also openly advertised in many countries where prostitution is legal by the therapeutic name of sexual therapy. In countries where prostitution is illegal, Full services are provided in new-style body shops and massage parlors with very exotic names. Adult bookstores, sex shops, sex shows, and nudity on stage is fast spreading across the West. The so-called developing countries are not far behind. The total impact of the sexual revolution is hard to estimate on this adulterous generation. Marital relationships are being undermined as more and more husbands and wives seek that extra thrill that is supposed to be derived from engaging in extramarital sex. The implication is that sex within marital boundaries is not enough, so some extra sexual relationship outside marriage is necessary to bring that extra fulfillment. What a satanic delusion. A survey conducted about 25 years ago of over 100,000 women by Robert Bell of Temple University indicated that about 1/3 of all married women who took part in the survey reported having sexual relations with other men other than their husbands. That percentage increased to almost half, that is 47%, among wage-earning wives. Taking the fact into account that men have always been more promiscuous than women, we can safely conclude that the percentage of men having extramarital relationships is even higher. A natural consequence of marital unfaithfulness is the shocking rise in the divorce rate. The West was leading in this devastating dissolution of marriages, but the so-called developing world is following closely at its heels. Paul's prediction about this generation has been fulfilled, that in the last days people will become lovers of self, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. When their marriage partner fails to satisfy their social, financial, emotional, or sexual expectations, that is usually a sign to dissolve that relationship rather than work hard to mend it. To maintain sexual freedom and avoid the painful trauma of divorce, many are now opting for open marriages, which allow them the freedom of having sexual intimacy with other persons. Others engage in mate swapping. That is, the husband and wife agree to exchange partners with another couple for the purpose of having sexual relations. I remember a testimony I heard from a couple in Britain captured by the Sun newspaper, in which they stated that mate swapping had saved their marriage and introduced more excitement into their marriage. Others join free love communities that espouse free sex. Others engage in sexual orgies of group sex. Another important form of sexual perversion in our times is homosexuality. The gay liberation movement has tried to fight for the rights of those who practice homosexual acts. Theologians have tried to explain away the passages in the Bible that seem to condemn homosexuality. However, in this age of rationalization, we are called to uphold the biblical position. No amount of rationalization can legitimize homosexuality, which God condemns as sin in Deuteronomy 23 verse 17, 2 Kings 23 verse 7, and Jude 7. It is still difficult to estimate how widespread homosexuality and lesbianism is in the society because many are afraid to come out because of their fear of sexual rejection. However, many are now boldly coming out of their closets and openly confessing about their sexual preferences and orientation. The number of practicing homosexuals and lesbians is on the increase. There is also increased tolerance from the society, which makes some reason that homosexuality must not be sinful after all. However, we need to remember that no amount of social tolerance and approval can remove God's condemnation and final judgment upon those who indulge in homosexual acts. Jude warns in verse 7, "In a similar way, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. They serve as an example of those who suffer punishment of eternal fire." Perhaps the most tragic consequence of the sexual obsession and permissiveness of our society is the appalling number of unborn babies being aborted in every country in the world. What is even shocking is that some countries have legalized abortion. What a tragic waste of human life. The shocking increase in premarital and extramarital intercourse has tragic consequences. First, there is the terrible loss of the sacred meaning of the sexual act a beautiful symbol of total and reserved self-giving and commitment of a husband and wife to one another. Second, there is the human anguish and misery of those who experience unwanted pregnancies. Thirdly, there is the tragedy of millions of unborn babies killed every year through abortion. What a mind-boggling tragedy to think what price potential babies are repaying for the irresponsible sexual conduct of millions of persons. It is evident that not all abortions represent irresponsible sexual behavior. There are cases of health complications that may make abortion a viable solution. How long, however, one wonders, will God allow evil to continue? The Bible is very clear and very quick to remind us that there is a limit to God's mercy. Just as God brought judgment upon the wicked generations during Noah's and Lot's times, the signs of increasing wickedness just surveyed give us reason to believe that soon He will come to execute judgment upon the evildoers and restore order, peace, love, and justice upon this earth. As we look at what is happening in the world, let us be sure that God will soon bring everything to an end. Amen.
We have come to the end of today's edition. If you didn't like it, tell us what to do to improve on our next shows. Write to the producer, Adventist World Radio, P.O. Box 42276, code 00100, Nairobi, Kenya. Our email address is awrnairobi@eau.adventist.org. From the entire production team, we say thank you and be blessed. I have been your host, Chileno Diambo.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. With me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever. The sound of His voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that He gave to me within my heart is and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with Him, though the night around me be falling.